866-248-2048. My goal is to ensure that all of your healthcare needs are met. Call me for an appointment at 725-249-4994. That number again is 725-249-4994.
Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time for the host with no filter and the millennial who keeps him in check. Get ready for the stories that matter to you. It's Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro and Jamie D.
All right, what's up, everybody? Happy Monday. It is Pushing the Limits. So glad you could join us. He's Jamie D. I'm Brian Shapiro. I've been called worse. What a busy news day. Oh, my gosh. We got a lot to get to, ladies and gentlemen. Little weekend roundup. What we've been up to over the weekend, or at least what I've been up to, because, all I care about is myself. So, that's how I am. Mr. Selfish.
Was that shade towards somebody, Brian?
Mr. Selfish. But
I feel like that was shade towards somebody.
No. I don't have any shade. I didn't get a tan this weekend. We're going to talk about Mr. Tucker Carlson, or as people are calling him, Tucker Carlson, trending on Twitter. Fired. Don Lemon fired. Oh, boy. We have a very controversial transgender story. Yes, the right-wingers are up in arms. It involves a person born a man, transitioned to a woman, showing his pee-pee in front of a bunch of 14 and 15-year-old girls. Yes, we'll be getting into that as well. We have some great hockey guests. We go from transgender stories to the NHL and the Vegas Golden Knights. We got two great guests joining us to preview Game 4 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. VGK over there in Winnipeg, Game 4. We have Mark Anderson from the Associated Press going to preview Game 4 for us. The Knights up 2-1. And then a guy that I've been wanting to get on this show for a while. His name is Darren Elliott. He's the Vegas Golden Knights Vice President of Hockey Programming and Facilities. He's going to be joining us a little bit later on in hour number 2 as well. Kind of set the scene for us. He's out there in Winnipeg covering the game. And we will be joined by Darren as well. So really looking forward to those two guests in hour number 2. Jamie, how was your weekend?
My weekend was still pretty cruddy because I'm still looking for an apartment.
Cruddy?
So, yeah.
I don't usually I don't hear that word.
I was gonna say a different word, but I forgot that we were on air, so I have to calm myself down.
Cruddy,
crappy, and the S word that I can't use. But
okay,
don't use that. It's been pretty. I mean, I just been focused on trying to find a new apartment and trying to figure that out. How about you?
That doesn't sound fun.
It's not fun. I still haven't found one.
Yeah,
so
my living situation over the last week hasn't been much fun either for different reasons. But I've been in Vegas 20 years, and I've never seen Penn and Teller before. And a nice friend of mine, Lindsay, got me some tickets. I went to the Binion Steakhouse yesterday. I went to the it's funny. I went to the cigar lounge over at Resorts World, and all of a sudden, sitting right next to me is the owner of the Raiders and the Aces, Mark Davis. So I was talking, and Mark knows who I am because I've had plenty of conversations with him before, and we were having a good time. He said, "How's the show going?" I said, "Good." And then we got into a little conversation about the Oakland A's, who he's not very fond of, that organization. We had, some stuff that I won't say on the air, but let's just say he's not too happy with the Oakland A's coming to Vegas. Let's just put it that way. But that was kind of cool, man. It's Mark Davis.
You meet everybody. That's awesome.
The owner of the Raiders, the owner of the Aces, great guy. Mark Davis is a good dude. So that was really cool talking to him. I got to be honest with you, Jamie. The Penn and Teller show was really disappointing to me.
How come?
It wasn't a good show. It was boring, man. First of all, the illusions were average at best. The magic was average at best. I don't know. I don't understand why people like them so much. I thought the show kind of sucked.
I don't even know who they were, to be honest.
They called me up on stage, and
you get all this cool stuff.
They have this, I guess you could call it an illusion, where a cow disappears, and it's like a 10-year-old could have done the trick. It wasn't even a real cow, and obviously the cow folded up. And I don't know, man. I hate to be a downer here. I've seen some great shows. Lance Burton was a phenomenal magician. He did a show at Monte Carlo, and that show was so awesome. It was incredible. David Copperfield is incredible. I've seen some Siegfried and Roy. Those guys were together for a long time until the line attack. But I got to say, man, I just thought I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. I thought it was boring as hell. And my friend bought me these tickets. They were like $400 for 2 tickets. And I'm like,
Jeez.
Are you kidding me? I will not go back to watch Penn and Teller. It was very boring. The friend that I was with was halfway falling asleep, as was I. I think they've been around a long time, but I'm sorry, man. I just don't think the show was very good.
They lost their mojo.
I don't even know if they ever had it. I mean,
wow.
I just don't think they're very good. I thought some of the
This is your first show, right?
first time I've seen it, but I've seen them on TV, and stuff.
Right.
And
It's different on TV than it is in person.
It was just there's too much talking during the show. It's boring, and there's like maybe 6 or 7 tricks the entire show. I like the fact that they call people up, but anyway, I didn't think it was a very good show, Jamie, and I was disappointed. I appreciate.
Sorry about that.
I appreciate my friend Lindsay getting me the tickets, and I wanted to go to see it, but now I can say I saw it and it sucked. Anyway, let's get to what is the biggest story of the day. By far, this is just really unique. As you know, we've talked about Don Lemon. We've talked about CNN. We've talked about Fox News. We've talked about Tucker Carlson, the white supremacist sympathizer. Within an hour this morning, within an hour of each other, Tucker Carlson has been let go at Fox News, and Don Lemon has been let go at CNN.
Crazy.
And I got to be honest with you, the CNN move does not surprise me. And the reason why it doesn't...
You've been calling it.
Well, Don Lemon's just not very good on the air.
You've literally been calling it.
I can't believe he's been there for 17 years.
Man.
He's not very good. He's never gotten them good ratings.
I mean, to be honest, who do you really know CNN for? Who's the face of
Jake
CNN?
Tapper, Wolf Blitzer.
Guess.
Chris Cuomo was the guy that got them ratings, but he was let go.
I'm not gonna lie. I only knew about Don Lemon when I thought about CNN. To be honest.
Well, Wolf Blitzer's been there forever. He's a pretty good journalist. Jake Tapper, I think, is phenomenal. But when I think of opinionated hosts, I think their morning show's very boring. And I don't think CNN programming is very good. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, and I guess Fox knows, according to Brian Stelter, who used to work for CNN, he said that Fox News did not know that CNN was terminating Don Lemon today, and CNN didn't know anything. About Fox.
Just a huge
coincidence. It's just a coincidence, which I believe. By the way.
I believe that.
But let me start with Don Lemon, and then I'll get to the really controversial guy, right? And I don't know how you feel about Don Lemon, but my opinion on Don Lemon, I've never liked him. I always thought he was boring. I don't think he's very intelligent. He's a diva. The rumors have circulated about how he doesn't treat his fellow employees very well, including his female former employees. Many complaints about him. He says a lot of stupid things. Like I said, I don't think he's very intelligent, and he's a diva. He's been known as a diva, meaning that he thinks he deserves everything in the world, and he calls himself a victim until the end. Today he did it again, where he said, "My agent told me that I was fired. Management didn't even give me the courtesy of telling me that I was." So what?
He specifically said, in quote, "I am stunned." Lemon wrote, "After 17 years at CNN, I would have thought someone in management would have had the decency to tell me directly." End quote.
They don't have to. Legally, they don't have to.
I mean, they don't have to, but I can agree with him on that. Have some decency. Tell them. Come on now. Come on. I mean, yeah, there's been allegations behind him and his female host and all the different things he said on air that were controversial, but he's not the only person who's had allegations. He's not the only person who said controversial things on air. And let's be honest, if you look at his white, straight counterparts, they probably would have been told or given a red carpet walkout or something.
Okay, so here's where I think Don Lemon is lying. And let me explain.
Go ahead. I'm not defending him.
CNN has put out a statement, and they said Don Lemon's statement about this morning's events is inaccurate. He was offered an opportunity to meet with management, but instead released a statement on Twitter.
Yep, that's what's right here.
I believe CNN. I believe Don Lemon is a liar, and he is a diva, and he always plays the victim card. Now, when I say the victim card, I'm not talking about issues that face black people or gay people, because Don Lemon is a gay African-American man. I believe if someone brings those topics up, it's very legitimate. But let's be honest here. Don Lemon has been one of the highest paid media members in this country. He's no victim. I'm not saying he didn't work hard to get to where he is. Don Lemon has been treated very well at CNN. He's had a nice 17-year career.
That we know of.
Well, he's had a nice 17-year career over there. He's getting paid 7 figures. He's been offered a number of different positions, including the morning show host. He wasn't producing. They weren't getting ratings. His co-hosts don't like him. Many people that work with him don't like him.
Let me ask you this. Why do you think he wasn't producing?
What do you mean?
Why do you think Don Lemon wasn't producing? Why wasn't he getting ratings?
Oh, you mean producing as far...
this is what
Because
you
he
said.
sucks.
Yeah.
He's boring.
What about him sucks?
First of all, I find him to be very dry and boring. I don't find him to be a very good interviewer. For example, the other women that are on the show, I think, are much better at interviewing people. I don't think he's very good. He gets flustered. If you go on YouTube and you look at some of the interviews he's done, he gets flustered in interviews. He doesn't know his history. He says ignorant things like the talked about her not being in her prime. He's not very eloquent in the way he speaks. He says stupid things. That's why he's been bounced around from the night show to the morning show. He doesn't produce. And when he was on his own, he didn't produce. The night show, he wasn't getting ratings. So, the people that have produced there, a guy like a Jake Tapper, he's been there for years. He gets ratings.
So let me ask you this. If he wasn't getting ratings and he was boring to you and to other people, why do you think they kept him for so long?
Well, that's a very good question. And I'm not saying this, but I know a lot of people have been saying this. I don't know if I agree with it or not. He's a black, gay male. And some people would say that the reason why he hasn't been let go is because of that. I don't know if that's true or not.
It makes sense.
What I can tell you, Jamie, in my personal opinion, is he's not very good. And I don't know what he's going to do.
Well, let me ask you this, because we were talking about this off the air.
Yeah.
And I want to know, there's just a bunch of older people on all these shows. Who would be better? Who would be a great replacement? That's the one thing that a lot of these news articles are talking about, is that they're going to cover these spots until their replacement comes. Well, who's going to be better? Are they going to have any millennials, any younger people who have actual fresh ideas when we talk about the news?
So the reason is no, is because of the demographic. Who is CNN trying to reach, and who is Fox News trying to reach, and MSNBC? The bottom line is most people under the age of 30 do not watch cable news.
Aren't people
they just
under
don't.
the age of 30 the ones who actually need to, who be voting more, getting out, and actually need to be interacting with our community?
Younger people have not. I wish. Listen, I'll speak for myself. I started watching Fox News and CNN at a fairly young age, but I also have a news background. And in my mid-20s, I started watching. I watched more in my 30s, and obviously now in my 40s.
Why?
As I've gotten older, I become more interested and opinionated and more outspoken and more interested in social issues.
What made you more interested when you got older versus when you were younger?
I don't think it really affected me as much when I was younger.
Ding, 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 ding.
But I also believe that you're talking to somebody that has a news background. I was in the news business in my early 20s, but I didn't start getting more into politics, to be honest with you, when Donald Trump took office. That's when I really got
there we
more
go, because
motivated.
that became that's made a lot of people, regardless of age.
I got more motivated to call things out. I think COVID really got me outspoken.
I think that got everybody
I mean,
outspoken.
I did a political show dating back to 7-8 years ago, but I got more outspoken. But going back to Don Lemon, he did not get fired because he was harmful to people. Don Lemon did not incite violence. I don't ever, to his credit, I don't think Don Lemon ever intentionally lied about anything.
Right.
I don't think there were any sexual harassment lawsuits. I could be wrong on that, but
there are allegations with no lawsuits.
Right. I know there was an allegation outside of the workplace where he touched some guy's groin at some bar or something. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in the workplace. I don't think Don Lemon ever said anything on the air that could incite violence or he intentionally lied. So I'll give him credit for that. I just don't think he's very good on the air. Now, going to the Tucker Carlson story, we all know what happened with the Dominion voting lawsuit. Tucker Carlson was the first host that the prosecutors wanted to testify under oath. This is what I've heard. Now, Tucker Carlson, trust me when I say Fox News did not want to fire Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
Why? Because Tucker Carlson had the highest rated talk show not only on Fox News but in all of cable news on television. Monster ratings. Tucker Carlson is very good at spewing hate speech and propaganda, and some people that watch Fox News, a lot of people, enjoy that. He was very good at getting viewers. And we have also learned Tucker Carlson's senior executive producer has left Fox News as well. But going back to what I was saying, Tucker Carlson was too big of a liability to Fox News. It's the same reason why Bill O'Reilly, I don't know if you recall Bill O'Reilly, the whole Bill O'Reilly story on Fox News. There were tons of women that, multiple women that came forward, sexual harassment, and Fox News had to pay them off. And eventually they said, okay, we can't do this anymore. Bill O'Reilly
should keep doing it.
But at the time, Jamie, Bill O'Reilly had the highest rated TV
Who cares about
show
stuff
as
like
well.
that? If you are an evil person who's doing bad things behind the scenes and you're affecting the company you work with, you should not be on that show or have a show at all.
I understand, and I agree with you in theory, but I'm telling you that if you're a Bill O'Reilly and you have a few women come forward saying that Bill O'Reilly sexually harassed them, Fox News will be more inclined to say, okay, why don't we just pay these women off and let's continue to make money rather than some intern over there or some guy making $20 an hour. Tucker Carlson monster ratings. Now,
this is why I feel like a lot of media companies need to truly be investigated, because at the end of the day, while I understand monster ratings and you're getting all this money, and you have these people who are not only just spewing lies, but they're also doing negative and bad things in their personal lives and in their work lives, but you want to cover that up because you're so focused on money.
So for Tucker Carlson, because specifically, I don't think it was Tucker Carlson that was doing negative things in his personal life. Bill O'Reilly was, no question. Tucker Carlson has a family. He's got kids. Maybe Tucker the Fifth and Tucker the Sixth. I don't know. But for Tucker, it was what he did on the air. Spewing hatred, pro-Putin propaganda, Dominion voting machine nonsense. And this is what I heard from a couple really good sources.
Okay.
What I heard from a couple people, and one of them is going to join us on the show tomorrow, and people that are close to Fox News and people that kind of know the ins and outs of Fox News. This is what I heard, that over the weekend and today, Tucker Carlson wanted to talk about the Dominion lawsuit. He wanted to defend himself, and he wanted to defend his colleagues. Fox News and the executives said, no, we're not touching this story. You're not talking about it. Tucker Carlson said, yes, I am. And they said, if you do this, we're going to have to let you go. And I guess they thought Tucker was going to talk about it on the show tonight. And they decided to let him go. Now,
This is all allegedly.
From what I've heard from two people that are very close to some colleagues over there at Fox News, I actually have Tucker Carlson's cell phone number.
Let's call him right now.
Yeah, that's illegal. But the reason why I have his number is
It's
because
illegal to call him and let him know he's going to be on the air?
Michael Avenatti, who is now in jail, the attorney, who always got into it with Tucker, he gave me Tucker's cell phone number. Yeah, so maybe I'll give Tucker a call later.
I say we should do it.
You can't do it on the air, though. That's illegal.
I say we should do it during the commercial. Let him know he's going to be on the air and bring him on.
Yeah, I can guarantee you he probably...
I'll shoot him a text right now behind the scenes.
So Fox News, I guess, has announced the Tucker Carlson departure. What does that mean? There's some sort of press conference going on now? Or I don't understand. Oh, well, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Who's talking about it now on the air? Who's talking about it? Do you know who's talking about it on the air? It's just some anchor, some random anchor? Yeah, I really don't care. Let them talk about it. Who cares? They'll spin it any way they do, just like they spin everything else. But the bottom line is this. Regardless of why people think Tucker Carlson was fired, the bottom line is Fox News said, even though you have the highest rated show in cable news, even though you're making us tons of money, you're too big of a liability.
I like that.
You're too big of a liability.
Yep.
And according to some sources, it was Rupert Murdoch who personally decided to let Tucker go. I don't know if that's true or not. That's according to the LA Times. Maybe Murdoch is finally saying to himself, we need to change a little bit of what we do here. I mean, I doubt it, and here's why I doubt it. Sean Hannity lies every day. Laura Ingraham lies on the air every day. I don't think this is a situation where they want to be honest and they want to have integrity, because
not
if
at all.
right, because if that was the case, if that was the case, Jamie, then Sean Hannity wouldn't be there.
Facts.
Laura Ingraham wouldn't be there, and I think it's just they were looking out for their own asses, and Tucker Carlson
is their money.
While Laura Ingraham and Sean Hannity spew lies and hatred and right-wing propaganda every day, Tucker Carlson is a bigger liability. He just is. The conspiracy theorist, it started with Dominion voting systems, but he's been doing this for a very, very long time. And,
unfortunately, Carlson will not have a final farewell show, which I'm sure obviously can tie into the allegations of why they quote unquote let him go so early. Because if they gave him a farewell show, he probably needs to say whatever he wants to say.
But I said this on TikTok, and I put up a video earlier today. The definitive differences between the Don Lemon firing and the Tucker Carlson firing. Don Lemon was fired, in my opinion, writing on the wall. His colleagues didn't like working with him. He wasn't very good on the air. He's not the brightest bulb, in the world either. And it was just time for him to go. He probably should have gone 10 or 15 years ago. The fact that he is a black gay man, I don't know. I don't know if that had anything to do with why they kept him.
I mean, if they kept him for that representation, that's cool and all.
Plenty of black people on CNN.
But not even right. But I'm saying black and gay. If they kept, and I'm gonna say this again. If they kept him on for that representation, that's cool and all. But let's look at why we actually want people on these shows and how they're actually going to impact our communities versus looking at ratings, versus looking at money, versus looking at what it represents. Because you need to have people that are positively representing communities on air, if that's why you're going to have people staying.
So I hear what you're saying, but I can guarantee you, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, they really don't care whether their employees impact communities.
And that's the issue. That's
here's what
why a lot of times you're not getting people to actually care about what's happening in the news, because you don't care about what the common folk want to see. You don't care about what the common folk want to have represented. All you care about is your agenda, what you want people to think is happening, and all these lies. I've been saying this since day one. I want media companies to be held accountable, because this is a great way to show that, okay, cool, Tucker Carlson has all these ratings, but we're gonna let him go because of his liability. Personally, it shouldn't have gotten to this point where he's causing you all these issues because of the Minion issue. I think that this should have been handled way beforehand, like you said earlier. There's a Sean Hannity's who are spewing lies, but you won't do anything about it because it makes you money, which I think is stupid.
Yeah. So if I'm running CNN, you ask me who to, here's what I would look for, or Fox News. Particularly, I'll start with CNN. Are you talented? Are you good on the air? That's number one. You have to be good on the air. I don't think Don Lemon checks that box. Number two, do you have strong opinions? Yeah, Don Lemon did have strong opinions, but some of them were idiotic. Are you good on the air? Do you have strong opinions? Are you really good at holding people accountable? But are you also fair? Don Lemon is a hardcore liberal lefty. I don't care. He's not a journalist. If you're going to have someone that does an opinionated show, that's fine. They don't have to be a journalist. But when you put Don Lemon on a morning show that's supposed to be journalism, wrong guy. They made a big mistake there. People after 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. are not journalists. They're opinion people, and that's fine. Don Lemon was opinionated. He wasn't good at interviewing people. He wasn't very good on the air. He said a lot of dumb things. He didn't challenge people in the right way, and I found him to be incredibly boring. Now, Tucker Carlson checks the box of being opinionated.
Right.
He certainly holds people to account, but in the wrong way. He spews hate speech. He lies on the air, and he knowingly lies. So you want someone that's going to be honest with some integrity, but also is opinionated. I think Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson do not check those boxes. There are not many people that do these days, but I do believe that Jake Tapper is one of them. Jake Tapper is an incredibly good journalist, but he's not really an opinion talk show host guy. He's a midday journalist. I think Chris Wallace is very good at what he does. There's some good people at CNN. And you know what? There are a few good people at Fox News as well.
I'm glad you said that, because people are like, talk about Fox News, what they have. Glad you said that.
So Chris Wallace was at Fox News. He was one of the few people that I respected over there, and then they let him go. Sean Hannity is an opinionated guy, and he's very good at getting ratings, and he's decent on the air. But he spews hate right-wing propaganda every single night. Laura Ingraham is a racist witch. I mean, what do you want? Does she get
witch?
Does she get ratings? Yes, but she's a horrific human being. There are some people at Fox News. Brett Baer is okay. Like I said, and by the way, it's not just Tucker Carlson that was fired. Tucker Carlson is not the only person that was fired. I have Dan Bongino, who did a weekend show there, who was just an ass clown. Dan Bongino was a guy who, again, spewed right-wing propaganda, a big baby, and they let him go. Maria Bartiromo was supposed to be a journalist and an anchor over there at Fox News, and she also spewed the Dominion voting machine right-wing propaganda, and Fox News fired her as well. Janine Pirro, Judge Janine, a despicable human being who has brown-nosed down. I've interviewed Judge Janine before. The fact that she was once a judge is incredible to me. She spewed her right-wing propaganda on the 5 every single day. She brown-nosed Donald Trump. She also spewed the Dominion voting lies, and now Judge Janine is gone. Also a drunk, by the way, who I know, people that know her very well, that said she showed up on set drunk on multiple occasions. So it wasn't just Tucker Carlson, and there may be more people on the way. Bongino is a complete blowhard idiot. Maria Bartiromo is a pathetic excuse for a journalist. And Janine Pirro is an embarrassment. So they've gotten rid of some people that I think don't deserve a spot on television to begin with. It wasn't, so the question now is, how comfortable are you if you're Laura Ingraham, and how comfortable are you if you're Sean Hannity? I don't think they're going to get rid of them. But the number one person on the hit list as far as the Dominion voting lawsuit was Tucker Carlson, so they got rid of him. This impacts Fox News in a huge way. This was the biggest audience on the planet for a news program. Make no mistake about it. As much as I disagree with Tucker and I think he's a despicable human being, this is a big blow to Fox News. I can promise you that getting rid of Don Lemon is not going to affect their ratings. In fact, it might help their ratings. So it's not really going to affect CNN at all. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But the bottom line here is, and going back to what we said earlier, Don Lemon has been fired at CNN. Tucker Carlson has been let go at Fox News. This is a big story. We'll take a break.
Wait, before you take a break, because I want to talk about this really quick.
Yep.
Two things, and I want you to touch on both. One, can you tell? I know you said that this matters to Fox News because Tucker Carlson is pretty much one of their biggest rated shows.
The biggest.
It says the number one actually is The Five.
As far as
that's what I just googled like a
so the
search,
Five,
and they're all saying The Five.
Right.
Tucker Carlson's number 2.
So The Five is a panel of 5 people that talk about the stories of the day. But I'm going as a whole for the past 5-6 years.
Got you. Okay.
The biggest name in cable news is Tucker Carlson. He has the biggest audience.
Do you want to make sure? Okay.
I'm sure there are a few months here and there where the 5 probably beat Tucker Carlson. I don't even though I think. And by the way, Judge Janine was on that show. She's gone. Right. Jesse Waters.
Because it says they beat them by 10,000 more viewers.
Yeah, which is nothing, by the way. That's that's so minuscule. That's nothing for the millions and millions and millions of views. 10,000 is nothing. Again, Tucker Carlson, arguably the biggest name in cable news. For the last 5-6 years, no question.
So what does this mean for news as a whole? Because if you look on Twitter, everyone's saying he's going to end up on somebody else's show.
Sure.
They're saying that, wow, he's leaving Fox News, but if he has great ratings, somebody else is going to pick him up. So why is this so important if he's going to be picked up? Let's call a spade a spade. Somebody else is going to hire him.
Of course he will. Same thing what happened to Bill O'Reilly.
So why
Tucker's never going to have the viewership that he's had on Fox News.
Why do you say that?
Because he was in primetime on Fox News.
There's no other primetime stations he could be on?
What other primetime stations?
I'm just asking. No.
OAN has 2% of the viewership of Fox News. Newsmax has maybe 10% of the viewership of Fox News. I think Tucker Carlson is probably going to do what Bill O'Reilly did, which is open up his own podcast, his own studio, maybe do his own show because he has a big enough audience to do so. He'll never be making the money that he was making at Fox News, in my personal opinion. He'll never have that audience. Certainly... CNN would never hire him. MSNBC would never hire him. If you ask me what I think would be the best thing for America, put a hardcore liberal on the left and put Tucker on the right, kind of like when he used to do Crossfire and do a show like that. I think I would actually watch a show like that, but I don't think that's going to happen. He's got tons of money. He's probably going to do his own thing and do what Bill O'Reilly did. OAN or Newsmax would be an enormous step down for him. I don't think he's going to be doing anything for a little while. He's probably going to be taking some time off, and we'll see what happens. But I don't think Fox News is going to change a lot of what they do. Sean Hannity's still going to do right-wing buffoon television every day. Laura Ingraham is still going to do racist witch television every day. I think Fox News is going to continue to do that, only they're going to be a little bit more careful maybe about propaganda that might be not true. I also think that Tucker Carlson's text messages that were released certainly didn't help his cause any. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. So why don't we open up the phone lines, 702-221-7283. And again, if you want to be a part of the program, now's the time to call into the show. That number is 702-221-7283. Big stories. Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon within an hour of each other, by the way. That is a coincidence, and I do believe it was a coincidence. I don't think either of these stations made a decision based on what the other station was doing. But big story. Both of them are gone. 2 big names. Let's call it what it is. 2 big names in cable news. Some of the biggest. Don Lemon's still a big name. Yeah. Big name. Everybody knows who he is, or as some people call him, Don Lemon. That's what Tucker Carlson would call him. Well, Don Lemon and Tucker, I got to make sure I don't swear in the air.
I must say, oh my gosh. Whoa.
Tucker Carlson. That's what they call him. Both gone. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll take your calls on the other side, 702-221-7283. And Jamie, after some calls when we come back, a bizarre story coming out of Wisconsin of a transgender woman, born man, transitioned to a woman, but still had their male genitalia, derobing in front of a bunch of 14 and 15-year-old girls.
Disgusting.
It's you might be surprised though with my opinions on this one. So we'll talk about that when we come back. We'll take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Oh yeah.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super hero, that is, because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
The National Atomic Testing Museum is a national science, history, and educational institution that tells the story of America's nuclear weapons testing program at the Nevada test site. Located at 755 East Flamingo Road, just east of Paradise, the museum offers immersive, interactive experts for guests of all ages. The museum is Smithsonian certified and open 7 days a week. For more information, visit nationalatomictestingmuseum.org. That's nationalatomictestingmuseum.org.
Sapphire Pool and Day Club, the world's only topless gentlemen's day club, introduces its 2023 pool season lineup with a bevy of beauties and social media celebrities throughout the summer who will all host alongside hundreds of Sapphire's topless poolside entertainers. Enjoy brunch in the sun with items like frittata-style omelets, stripping chicken, and French kiss toast before washing it down with signature summertime cocktails. 10 lines beware. Go Bear! Ladies are welcome to go topless within the day club for the ultimate party. Guests can purchase affordable day bed packages, cabana packages, lounge chairs, and more. The best part though? Pushing the Limits will be broadcasting shows every other Friday throughout the pool season with a ton of surprise celebrity guests. Wow! Reserve your spot now. For more info, visit sapphirepoolLV.com or call 702-869-0003. That's 702-869-0003. See you at Sapphire.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits.
We're back.
On a, I almost said Friday.
I wish it was Friday.
Yeah, it's definitely not Friday. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at Sahara West Urgent and Primary Care. They're located at 6125 West Sahara Avenue. No appointment needed. You can give them a call, 702-248-0554. You can visit them online at SaharaWestUrgentCare.com. I was in and out of there in 20 minutes. Andrew and Jessica, they're wonderful people, and I promise you they'll take care of you. They took care of me. Let them know that I sent you, Sahara West Urgent and Primary Care. Me and Jamie have been talking about the two big firings in the media world. Of course, Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon, fired for different reasons, as we spoke about in the last segment, but we want to get your thoughts on it. 702-221-7283, and again, that number if you want to be a part of the conversation. 702-221-7283, your thoughts on these two big firings in the media world. There's no question about that. Let's start off with Al. Al, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, what's going on? Hey, Brian.
Yes,
I had
sir.
to call in, man. I am so happy. You know, I'm a staunch Republican, but I never liked this Tucker Carlson. Never connected with me. Of all the conservative talk show hosts, I can tolerate the majority of them. But this guy just never, I don't even know how he even became a talk show radio host. He's more boring than the guy they got on late night on Channel 4 right now. What's his name? Jimmy Fallon or something.
Jimmy Fallon.
Anyhow, yeah, this guy's in the same category. Maybe both of them ought to start a radio
So,
show.
Al, I hear you, and I understand why you would say that, and I agree with you, but here's the thing. There's a lot of people that like right-wing conspiracy theories, lies, pro-Putin propaganda, attacking brown people, attacking the Black Lives Matter movement, lying about the 2020 election. There's a big part of the Republican base that loves Tucker Carlson because they love the conspiracy theories. And that's why Tucker Carlson got monster ratings. Because there's a large
possibility.
It's 100%. A large contingency. Talk to people that enjoyed Tucker Carlson. And the reason why they enjoyed Tucker is because they liked the conspiracy theories and the propaganda.
Yeah, well, that's sad. And I'm going to start with that in mind. I might start watching some of his videos, and I might be able to digest them and tolerate them. But you know what? I am so glad that guy's out, and I might actually promote putting him down just because of what you said. Because
I don't know where he's going to go.
You know what?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
I was just going to say, I don't know where he's going to go, but I think he's going to take the Bill O'Reilly route where, Sean Hannity will have O'Reilly on and Chris Cuomo will have O'Reilly on. And I think what Tucker will do is he's got tons of money. I mean, I don't think he's going to go to OAN or Newsmax because that's a huge step down for him. He'll probably do his own thing, and it'll probably be before the 2024 elections. And we'll see where he goes. But, he's a liability. That's the problem. Anybody who hires Tucker Carlson, he is a liability for lawsuits.
Well, the thing is this. Number one, I'm going to leave you with two things. Just because of what you said, I'm going to text right now to Bill O'Reilly not to have this conspiracy moron with no facts on this show, number one. And number two, for all the Republicans, I'm going to tell you, this is addition by subtraction. By getting rid of this guy, we actually may have a chance in 2024. That's all I got to say.
All right. Well, my friend, I appreciate your call, Al. Thank you so much.
All right,
thank you. 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. The problem is that you're still going to have Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham and some of the other weasels over there at Fox News continuing to do what they do. They might stay away from, election integrity and Dominion voting machines, but they're still going to spew right-wing propaganda and lies every day. That's not going to change. This is not going to change Fox News much. But I can tell you there's probably a lot of people that are going to be happy that Fox News will not have Tucker Carlson on the air tonight. I want to switch topics, Jamie, because this is a very controversial topic. And, right-wingers love to talk about how transgenders are just ruining the planet, right? My opinion on...
They're ruining the planet?
My opinion...
not all the gas and...
Yeah, no, you know what I mean. Like
not all the... oh, my gosh, why can't I think of the word? The garbage we're throwing on the earth, just trans people are just ruining the earth. Not the politicians, not the Tucker Carlsons, just trans.
Well, Tucker Carlson did talk about transgenders a lot, but why I say that is because they don't want to talk about the real issues.
Right.
Many Republicans want to speak to, the LGBT community and transgenders just ruining the world. You would think, like we've talked about this before, drag queens reading books to kids is more of a danger to kids than guns, even though...
Can I make a point about that as well? Because one thing people have been saying last week a lot, and never got to touch on this, is that they're saying stop reading to our kids, stop trying to indoctrinate our children, stop putting drag queens and transgender into our spaces. How about you stop taking your kids to these spaces? How about you stop having grown adults want to actually book these people for your places? How about you actually get involved in your kids' lives before you say any of this stuff?
Well, the people that are... And by the way, I call those people idiots.
And they say Brian should take his niece to a drag show and take pictures.
Yeah.
Let's see how he feels about it.
Okay.
I don't think Brian will have an issue with it, to be honest.
You see, first of all, I've been to drag queen shows here in Las Vegas. Divas was a show that I quite frankly I enjoyed. I have no problem with drag queens, and quite frankly, anybody who says that is a complete idiot. You're probably dragophobic, if that's a word.
Dragophobic.
But the reason why I bring this up is, nobody can give me an example of a kid that died from a drag queen reading a book in a library. But the biggest cause of death among children are guns. But I don't really want to get into the gun issue right now. But I do want to talk about this story because I find it to be an important story to talk about and an example of why the right-wing buffoons...
And you said we're going to disagree?
No, I don't think so. We might disagree. I don't know. But anyway.
What you going to say?
There's a lot of outrage in the Wisconsin school district. And the reason why there's a lot of outrage, an 18-year-old male to female transgender student allegedly got into the showers with 4 freshman girls. We're talking about 14-year-old girls. Yep. And he still has, she or he still has male genitalia. In a statement, an attorney representing the school district admitted the incident should have never happened, but one legal group says the overall response to concerns raised by parents has been lackluster at best. So here's my problem with this story. First of all, let me call a spade a spade. This 18-year-old, transgender or not, should be tried as an adult and should go to jail. I don't care whether you call yourself a transgender or not. I'll call you she or he if it makes you feel better. If you have a penis, you can't be taking off your clothes in front of anybody, especially underage girls, let alone anybody.
And would you say this if this was just the senior who was a regular guy? Should he be tried as an adult as well?
Well, this is an 18-year-old.
No, pause. I said if this was just a senior, regular guy, straight heterosexual man who was still a senior in school, would you say that he should be tried as an adult as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I treat it. I absolutely treat it the exact same. So that's my immediate reaction. This is disgusting. Has nothing to do with whether this person calls himself a transgender or not. You could be transgender, or you can have as long as you have a penis.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're showing your penis and taking off your clothes in front of a bunch of underage girls, you should go to jail.
I agree.
Now,
I agree.
Here's my issue with this. Now, I wanted to get that right away, right off the bat. Okay. Doesn't matter whether you call yourself transgender or not. Now, a friend of mine, I will not mention his name, even though I'm going to lunch with him later today.
Way to give us a clue.
He calls me yesterday and talks to me about this story. And my response was what I just said, Jamie, right? And you agree with me so far with what I just said, right? It's horrible. Person should be tried as an adult. It's
And this person said, "I'm trans, by the way," and still exposed their penis.
Right.
Oh.
So this is terrible, right? But here's my issue. I'm having a conversation, Jamie, with a friend of mine, and he's talking about how horrible this story is, and he brings up the fact that this was a transgender. And I said, okay, you're right. This person should be tried as an adult. It's disgusting. Do you realize there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people every year that are charged with exposing their genitalia to underage girls or women?
Creeps, pervs,
okay.
horrible
and
people.
Lauren Boebert's husband is one of them.
Oh.
Okay? I don't care whether you're straight, gay, transgender. If you have a penis between your legs and you expose that to an underage girl, it doesn't.
And vice versa, if you're a woman doing it to little
I
kids.
agree.
Men. Yep.
I
Let's
agree.
make that
Although
very
it
clear.
certainly doesn't happen as much, but I'm sure it has
It
happened.
doesn't match. That gets reported. Let's say
Either
that.
way,
that gets reported.
Thousands of these cases are reported every single day. But what is the right-wing media or my friend talking about all those stories? The fact that maybe less than 1%, I believe the stats are, of people that expose themselves to underage girls happen to be transgender. And they want to make the case that it's only transgenders that are doing this type of behavior. Wrong.
Now,
It's not.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that the reason why people are talking more about this transgender situation is because, for the lack of better words, it's normal to know that there's straight male pervs out here exposing themselves to underage men and women, and that's not really newsworthy anymore as a transgender, because that's what's in the news nowadays. Transgenders. That's what's now a trend, being transgendered or talking about being transgendered, or being yourself and being transgender. That's all the trend nowadays. So do you think that's why people, and hear me out when I say, not saying that people are doing it because it's a trend, I'm saying people's lifestyle is becoming a trend. So do you think that's why people are now talking about that more, because we haven't had conversations about transgenders exposing themselves, because they weren't ever talked about in the news?
Let me start by saying this for the idiots out there that some of you that might be saying that I'm justifying what this person did. Notice how I didn't say transgender, because I don't care. This was a person with a penis. For those of you that have MAGA wax in your ears that don't understand English, let me speak very slowly and distinctly to my slow MAGA friends out there. Let me repeat. I said 5 minutes ago that I want this person to be tried as an adult. What part of that do you not understand? I am not condoning. In fact, I'm doing the opposite. I want this 18-year-old, transgender or not, to be sent to prison. I called it disgusting. So for you idiots out there saying, oh, here comes Brian justifying, you're a moron.
And
I'm not justifying it at all. I wanted to start with that because there are morons out there that think I'm justifying it, which I'm not.
Do you think prison is too harsh, though?
No, if you're 18 years old and you show your penis to a bunch of 14-year-old girls, you should go to jail. 18 years old.
No other repercussions beforehand? Nothing? Probably like...
I don't agree with probation. If you want to put him 2 or 3 months in jail so he could think about what he did, and then he can shower with a bunch of men in jail,
I agree.
I'm not saying put the 18-year-old in jail for 10 years. Give him a couple months. This is a serious crime.
Okay,
A 14-year-old shouldn't have to look at a naked 18-year-old. Okay,
I agree.
That's awful.
Yep.
So I am not justifying
Disgusting.
this at all. The only point I'm trying to make, and I know this is really hard for some of you MAGA morons, I don't care whether you're transgender or not. See, all of you MAGA idiots out there want to paint the picture that only transgenders are mass shooters and all transgenders are mentally ill and only transgenders are exposing themselves to children. That is a lie. I am putting them all in the same category. I don't care whether you're a transgender or you're straight or you're gay. If you expose yourself to an underage teenage girl or whoever, I want you to be held to account and go to jail. But this idea that it's only transgenders doing it is a lie. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And if you don't believe me, look it up. There are thousands of people that sadly show their little penises, I guess,
Their private parts, yeah.
to underage girls. Lauren Boebert's husband is one of them. Do you hear right-wing members of the media talking about that? No, because he's a straight white male who's not transgender. And if a transgender, God forbid, mass shooting or exposes themselves to teenagers, they're only going to talk about this story. I am saying, in a broad sense, they're all disgusting. They're all pedophiles. They're all wrong. And I want them all brought to justice. And that's what I tried to convey to my friend last night. And he didn't want to hear it. He wanted to keep talking about how transgender. And I told him, I said, do you know how many people expose themselves to kids every year? No, of course he didn't know. Thousands. How many of those people are transgenders? Under 1%. I looked up the stats. Just like in mass shootings. Mass shooters that are transgender are 0.03%. But Republicans don't want to talk about that. Right-wingers don't want to talk about that. I want this 18-year-old to be put in jail, okay? Expelled, put in jail.
Yep.
And listen,
He needs to learn his lesson.
I know-
Well, she
listen,
needs to learn his lesson.
I
their
agree.
lesson.
I agree with people that are calling this horrible and disgusting. I agree. But the fact, and I guess the only
It's
reason,
foul.
the only reason
You
why
should know better at 18.
exactly, the only reason why transgender is brought up is because this 18-year-old identifies as a transgender woman.
I want to understand why she believed that saying, "Oh, I'm transgender, so it's okay," to then still do it.
So, Jamie, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
My take on if you're transgender, which bathroom should you use, or if you're transgender, where should you shower, is as follows.
Are you asking me a question?
Yeah, and I'm going to give you my, and I want to know what you think about this.
Okay.
If you have a penis between your legs, you shouldn't be allowed to go in a woman's restroom. If you have a penis between your legs, you should not be allowed to be in the woman's locker room. Period. End of conversation. If you have a full-on transgender surgery, then I'm okay with it. I don't want 14-year-old girls to be showering with people that call themselves a woman but have male genitalia. That is wrong. It should, for example, Leah Thomas should not be showering with women at the college level either, because Leah Thomas has a penis. I'm sorry if I'm being too graphic here. What do you think about that? Where do you draw the line for transgenders and what restrooms they should use and what showers they should go into?
Personally, I believe a bathroom's a bathroom. I believe that if you have a single-use bathroom, then if it's a male or female, use the darn bathroom. If you are waiting in line, I'll be at parties and clubs, and
For the record, Jamie does use the women's bathroom here.
if there's, I don't care. I will say this: if there,
You do have a penis. I agree you have
Hear me out when I say this, though. If there is a single-use bathroom that has woman or man on it, and no one's in line, no one's there, and that man is taking forever
That's
to
different.
pause, though. Let me finish my statement. I'm gonna go into the women's bathroom. I don't care. I don't care if
So do
anybody
I.
does that.
So do I.
I'm at parties and women are like, "Oh, I can't go into the men's bathroom." Girl, you want to sit in this long line or you want to go use the bathroom? I don't care. Now, if you look at what's happening in Kansas City, their airport, they actually have a all-gender bathroom where you literally can go into and pick whatever stall. We're making too much of an issue about a bathroom.
Okay, can I
now,
ask you though? Can I ask?
Can I
Yes.
Now, if we're looking at a large male's bathroom and a large women's bathroom, of course, I disagree that a man should be going into a women's bathroom where there's women's present, for sure, if that's specifically for them. But if we remove the the stigma between bathrooms. Let people just go to the bathroom. It shouldn't be this big of a deal. It's not that serious.
So first of all, I think everybody, I'll raise my hand, at one point or another has gone into a woman's bathroom that identifies as a man.
You gotta pee. You gotta pee. I'm sorry.
Right, correct. That's not what I'm talking about. I agree with you. There's nothing wrong with that. I agree with you. I'm talking about showering with other women or what took place at this school. And I'm talking about bathrooms where there's women in there. I would never go into a restroom, example, when there's other women in the women's restroom. Okay, I'm not talking about a single.
I've never done it either.
So Jamie, I'm not talking about a single toilet.
But people are upset about single toilet bathrooms with a lock.
I understand, but that's not my question. I'm asking you, in bathrooms where there are multiple people in the restroom or there are multiple people showering, that sort of thing, I draw the line. Whereas if you have a penis, I don't care what you identify as.
If there are people in that bathroom and they are of a different gender than you are, you should not be going into that bathroom. Okay. Let people have their privacy. Let people be them, and let people be around people they feel comfortable around. I completely agree. However, I feel as though that when you're talking about these situations of bathrooms and showers, if you're going to have people that aren't fully transitioned in these showers, you need to make it comfortable and make it known. You need to also probably block it off until that person's comfortable, and until you find another place for them to shower. If you're going to try to help people out, actually help them out. Don't put them in situations where they're placed in these situations they have nothing to do. If you're reading the articles about this transgender individual who exposed themselves to these women, it was saying that these articles are saying that the student was already in the shower when these girls came in. And the student did say, hey, I'm transgender, I'm letting you know. So I want to ask you, through reading these different articles, is it stating that she did this on purpose, or she was confronted by women and then just let them know and that's what happened?
This person did this on purpose, allegedly.
Okay. Right, allegedly. It has been confirmed that it's been on purpose.
There's no question that if you have a male genitalia and you go into a woman's locker room, you know that there's going to be young girls that are showering there. It is done on purpose. So there's no question there. This person who has a penis between their legs is disgusting and despicable, not because they identify as a transgender, because they decided to go into a locker room and allow a bunch of young freshman girls to look at your male genitalia, or at least be forced to get a glimpse of it. And that is awful and wrong, and this person should go to jail.
Let me ask you this. What should they have done?
Well,
what should they have done? Two questions. What should they have done, and what should the school have done for this student to put them in a place where this didn't happen?
A neutral shower, for example.
Well, they obviously don't have one, and they haven't put funds into it. So what else?
If you don't have a neutral shower and you have male genitalia, then you have one of two options. Either you shower in the boys' room or the men's room, or you go home. You cannot go into a shower with male genitalia with young girls or even with adult women. It is wrong. It is disgusting.
I agree.
And it can't happen. Now, there are people on the right that are attorneys that are saying this could be happening across the country. Let's stop it, because it's not. A bunch of people with penises aren't going into high school girls' locker rooms and doing this. This is a rare circumstance, and it's not happening everywhere. Could you find a handful of stories? Sure, I'm sure you could. But this isn't going on in every restroom or every locker room in this country. So that is a lie, and that is a scare tactic, and that is another example of people trying to go after the trans community. And I hate that, and that is wrong. But if you are trans and you don't call this out, then you are part of the problem.
I agree. I think at the end of the day, and I want to make this very clear, because somebody said, if you go into the restroom with my 13-year-old granddaughter, I'm not going into the bathroom with any young. Now, hear me out. If I am somebody's chaperone, I have to make sure that a little kid is safe, then I would do that. Right. But I'm not a pedophile. I have two younger sisters that I have raised, and I understand the difference between going into the bathroom when no one's present versus going into the bathroom and exposing myself. I would never do that. However, I want people to understand that when there's a bathroom that is open, there are times where women have gone into a men's bathroom like, hey, there's women in here. Can you give us a few seconds? I know this is y'all's bathroom. We had no other choice. I have no issue with that. We need to stop putting so much stigmatism on bathrooms, especially if we're not trying to actually make it comfortable for everybody. Because at the end of the day, even in those situations where women are taking over men's bathroom, I'm like, dang, I gotta pee. But then I'm also like, I understand, because women take forever, the line's long, and I don't get upset. Once they're gone, I'll go in the bathroom, and vice versa. I think that at the end of the day, what this transgender student did was absolutely wrong. It was despicable. They should be charged for these issues, and that they should learn their lesson. But if the right wants this to stop happening. We need to start making some more spaces for people. Again, like I just told you, if there is no place for this individual to shower, if you put this individual in the male's bathroom, block it off until they're done showering so that they can have their comfortability, until you all find the funds to make a space for this individual.
But let me just explain something again to some of the MAGA dummies out there, and there are a few on our social media that are commenting, yes, you are a MAGA dummy. If you are saying that you've never gone into a women's bathroom, now I'm talking about, I can only speak for myself. If I have an absolute emergency and I have no other alternative and I can't wait, I will knock on the woman's door. Mm-hmm. Is anybody in here?
Same.
I will creep. I will look slowly, and I will make sure that there is nobody in there. There have been a few times in my life where I've done that because it was an emergency, and I didn't want to go in my pants
or go outside and get a ticket for.
And trust me, if there was,
indecency.
and trust me, no matter what the emergency was, if there was a woman in that bathroom, I would not go in there.
Facts. I agree.
I would rather go in my pants than make a woman feel uncomfortable. I would never do that.
Or go to jail because you just had to pee.
Okay. So I want to be very clear on that. So for the idiots on social media that are transphobic and probably
or not hearing the right message,
or they're just idiots, they're morons that are not understanding me. At one point in your life, I'm sure you've used a women's restroom. The restroom that Jamie uses is a single person restroom, and he would never go in there if there was a woman in there. Or a woman was waiting to go in there.
Absolutely not.
So that is absurd.
Let me ask you this, though. Because I have seen this happen in clubs where the line has been long and the guy's like, come in here, just use the bathroom with us, or vice versa. Do you think that's an issue? And women have done it, and men have done it. So, for example, let's say we're both waiting in line, right? Let's say the girl's like, hey, we're almost done. You come in, you use the bathroom. The guy ran in there. I've seen this happen. And vice versa. They're like, hey, I know the line's long. We have 2 styles open. Girls go in there, and there's no issue whatsoever.
I would say
What's your thoughts on that?
I would say that's inappropriate. Here's why I say that. Mm-hmm. Everybody feels differently. Let me give you an example. If I was in the men's restroom, I'm not insecure with myself, even if I was at the urinal and I whipped it out, so to speak, and I saw women behind me walking by, I would be like, oh, that's weird, that's interesting, but I wouldn't be like,
turn around, woo.
No, well, I wouldn't do that, but I also wouldn't be freaked out. But that's just me. Right. Stuff doesn't bother me like it bothers other people.
Facts.
So everybody's different. Some men would be bothered by that. And you know what? I can understand why you would.
Yeah, you want the privacy.
So we need to be fair for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
A man should not go into a woman's restroom with male genitalia unless there's nobody in there and it's an emergency and they have to go. That's a different circumstance.
Or
a woman. I'm going the other way.
Right.
Or, well, not literally.
And not even just that. Or I want to add to that point. Or if you got the okay from those women. If those women are okay with you using the bathroom, or the men are okay, because again, I'm telling you, I've been in situations where I've been at the club and it's happened. I didn't care. I'm not a pedophile, so I don't care. Use the bathroom.
Here's my problem with that.
Yeah.
Let's just say there's a few women in a nightclub that say, hey, you can come in here, and guys out there taking a pee. What if women walk into the women's restroom and they're not okay with it? Okay, there's no lock on the door. I know, but
I've never done it.
I know, but I'm just saying there are more women that could come in that maybe wouldn't be. You're opening up a can of worms there. And only something bad could happen. I'm not okay with that. What I am specifically talking about is you and me, like making sure there's nobody in there.
Let's take a step back then. What's the difference between gay clubs? Have you been to a gay club before, Brian?
Yeah, but being gay is different than transgender.
No, it's not. Have you been to a gay club?
You think being transgender?
I'm gonna tell you why. Have you been to a gay club? Let me give my thoughts out.
I've been to a gay bar a few times in my life.
That's fine. I'm glad that you're an ally.
A few times I have.
That's fine. That does not make you gay. I'm glad that you've been there and you've experienced it for yourself. If you've been to a gay club, you will understand that there's no gender on any bathrooms. There are men who will go to gay clubs who are bi. There are men who go to gay clubs who are straight. There are men who go to gay clubs and they're transgender. What I'm saying is not different because at the end of the day, there's all different types of genitalia in those bathrooms. Does that make it a safer space? No. However, the culture is that you're not going to end up being a creep because you're going into those bathrooms with those individuals. And you should not be a creep because this is an open and safe space. What I'm trying to say is in those situations, you see that people are creating those cultures where it's not that big of a deal. I'm just saying if you create a culture where it's not that big of a deal, you stop putting pressure on people to be so weird about their bodies and you make people feel safe, then I feel like we could get through some of these situations a little bit easier.
So, Jamie,
but I do agree that you should not be having people in spaces they're not welcomed.
2 points to what you just talked about. Mm-hmm. Point number one, I agree with you. There's a lot
wait, real quick. Somebody says, I went into a male bathroom at work, clubs, and restaurants. I'm a grown freaking woman, and when you gotta go, you gotta go.
as long as we mentioned earlier, that there are either no men in there or there are, it's an emergency, then I think it's okay. Okay, so 2 points I want to mention to what you just talked about. I do agree with you that there is a right-wing buffoonery agenda where they will make it sound like every transgender that goes into a bathroom that they don't agree with is looking to molest children. That is not true. Trust me, if someone is sick and demented that they want to molest a child, they're not going to look on the front of the bathroom door to see if it's the boys' room or the girls' room. That's not going to matter to them. So that is ridiculous. I agree. But I will say this, being gay and being transgender are not exactly the same. They're
No,
not.
I said in that situation.
Okay, so
Did you
I
not
understand.
hear what I said?
I understand, but let me explain, okay? While I'm sure there are plenty of gay people in society that don't care who goes into their bathroom, it's a case-by-case basis. I guarantee you there are some people who are gay that would not be comfortable with urinating with a woman right next to them.
That's everybody. Now you're talking about something that everybody can say. There's gay people who want to do that. There's straight people who want to do that. There's trans who want to do that. What I said and what I will say again is that when you're in a space where everybody's a part of the same community in some capacity, there is no difference because there's genitalia everywhere. I know a lot of gay men who've been in straight clubs who have gone into the women's bathroom and there's been two different reactions. Ew, you're still a man, get out. Or, oh, he's gay, it's cool. If you're not going to have a universal thought process or rule or law about who should go into what, then we should start being more specific on the spaces that people should be comfortable in and what they should not be comfortable in. Because if you're going to say one person shouldn't do something, then they all shouldn't do something.
Yeah. So there was one time where I got into a...
Let's wait, can I say this real quick? Somebody said, haha, Brian, a little weird that you hesitated to answer that question about going to a gay club. LOL, plenty of straight people have been to them, not really a big deal. I don't think...
Why did I think it was a big deal? I had to think about it because I think I've only done it maybe once or twice in my life. It wasn't a hesitation.
Did you enjoy yourself? Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was cool. I didn't have a problem with it.
Did you see a lot of women there?
There were women and men there. So one time was accidental. It was in Las Vegas, and I was meeting somebody that worked at ESPN Radio. I think he still works there. He does a show there. And we had a little beef, and he said, hey, let's just meet for a drink and talk it out. And it happened to be a gay, which I didn't know at the time, and I didn't really care. It was another time where I had a friend. We don't talk much these days. I went to college with him. He's gay. Talk to him once in a while. And he convinced me in Connecticut when I was 22 years old to go to a gay bar with him, and I said, all right, I don't care. I'm not like this Mr. Insecure. I'm certainly not homophobic.
Well, if you think about it, you're straight. You're probably one of the few straight men or the only straight man in the gay club with a bunch of women.
So I had a gay guy.
You have a higher playing field and a better playing field.
Getting a little off kilter, but I had a gay guy come up to me, and he kind of like touched me, and he said, hey, handsome, or something like that. I wasn't offended, but I don't like people touching me without consent. But I wasn't angry. I said, hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Just letting you know I'm not interested. I'm a straight man, but I appreciate the compliment. He gave me some compliments, and I'm like, fine. And then I looked at him, and we both joked, and I said, boy, why can't a hot chick say that to me tonight? And he laughed, and it was all good. I wasn't like offended. I appreciated the compliment. I'm not like that. But it's only happened, you asked me, it's only happened a few times in my life. I am a single 43-year-old straight male. So if I do go to a nightclub or a bar, I tend to want to go where there's attractive women.
Fact, makes sense.
I mean, if there happens to be gay people there, I don't care. I can have fun with them too.
Yeah.
So it's not. But anyway, we'll take. I wouldn't mind taking a few phone calls on this because, Jamie, it's interesting to me because everybody has differences of opinion on, gender-neutral bathrooms. But
bathroom's a bathroom.
But this story about this 18-year-old who identifies as a woman, even though this person does have a penis, I'm just going to be honest with you. Again, I've said this before, and I'll open up the phone line, 702-221-7283. Again, 702-221-7283. If Jenner, for example, wants me to call him a woman, I will do it out of respect, and I don't care. If you have a penis between your legs, I think you're a dude. I'm sorry, I just do. And as a whole, I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're straight. I don't care if you're transgender. If you have a penis between your legs, you should not be going into the woman's restroom if there's other women in there. You shouldn't be going into that restroom. You shouldn't be showering with other women.
I agree.
It shouldn't matter whether you're gay, straight, or transgender. If you have female genitalia, then you should be showering with females. We can be respectful to transgenders, but at the same time have some basic guidelines and rules that are logic so that people don't feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's
Or
all.
unsafe.
And by the way, that doesn't make you transphobic.
No.
Some people are, oh, you're transphobic. No, I don't want an 18-year-old with a pee-pee with a bunch of 14-year-old girls. That doesn't make me trans. And guess what? The overwhelming majority of the transgender community agrees with me. They agree with me. And that's what gets me so angry. Republicans want to make it sound like all these transgenders, they want to expose their penises to all these women. Anyway, number to call, 702-221. You know what? Let's just take some calls now and let's not take a break. Why don't we do that? 702-221-7283. Again, that number, 702-221-7283. You see, you always learn something new on this show. We learned that Jamie does use the women's restroom here from time to time.
And so do you.
And
you've been to gay clubs.
For the record, I've never used the women's. I've never used
from time to time.
Well, I was going to get there, but you never allowed me to finish. I've never used the women's restroom in here.
There's no women here.
Well, there's a few.
Where? Where are the women at right now?
Well, not today.
So why would it matter if you use the bathroom or not, Brian?
Not today. I'm not saying you did anything wrong. I'm just saying don't be defensive.
I'm defensive.
I'm just
saying.
saying.
I'm acknowledging my defensiveness. Because what does it matter?
I'm not
Because if
being-
you're going to make a joke, I'm going to make sure that people don't take this clip and try to say anything about me.
You didn't even let me finish. We've also disclosed that I've been to a gay bar a few times, which is nothing wrong with that either. Hey, I'm just saying you learn something new on this show every single day. By the way, I have one funny story to tell, Jamie, before we get to the calls. Number 702-221-7283. It was Halloween. I was a little drunk, and I was with a friend of mine and a bunch of friends. He was wearing a dress. He was dressed up as a woman, not because he's trans or gay or whatever, and he had a lot to drink. And he's like, Brian, take me to the restroom, man. I'm not feeling good. I said, okay. So keep in mind, I have my arms around this guy who's in a dress, and we went into the men's room. We're at the urinal. I'm peeing, and he lifts up his dress to pee. And all the guys in the restroom were making jokes and be like, honey, I think you're in the wrong restroom. It was just it was very fun. That's all. Right. It reminded me of that. All right, 702-221-7283. Again, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Tracy. Hi, Tracy.
What's up, Tracy?
Hey, guys. What's going on?
What's up?
What's up?
Okay. I can't tell if it's a delay or not, but I hear y'all fine.
Yep, go ahead.
You good? Okay. Yeah, I made a comment on the chat on YouTube that, I've used whatever restroom is available. I've even gone into like the family restroom or staff restroom or whatever. And I've been out with friends to different clubs or whatever. And if I need to use the bathroom and if it's moving too slow and it's an emergency, I'm not going to pee on myself. I'm going to, have my friend or a guy friend or whoever say, hey, listen, can you make a way for me to use y'all's bathrooms because I got to pee.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Would you clear the way and have a guy go in there first and just warn people, hey, there's a chick coming in? Would you?
Yeah, I mean, I've done that before, and I think there's no problem with that. Like, clear a way. Make sure there's a path. I'm not looking at y'all.
You would warn people. Okay, well, I think that's important. Yeah. I think just going in there without warning anybody, it's a courtesy thing, right? You want to let people know that there's a woman coming in there because there's an emergency. Then I don't necessarily have a problem with that. What I would have a problem with, and listen, if a woman goes into a restroom and I'm in the men's room, I'm not one of those people that's sensitive. To be honest with you, I'm just going in there, doing my business and leaving. Same. I'm just saying, I'm speaking in general terms. I think people would have a problem with a woman just jetting herself in there without warning anybody.
I agree.
You see what I'm saying?
That's invasive. Absolutely. It's way too invasive for people's space.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. I think it depends on the environment too.
So Tracy,
if you're at a club or something, it's more relaxed. It's like a more relaxed environment. People are having fun, like nobody's really tripping on that kind of thing.
Right.
I've been to a gay club before, of course, straight clubs too. So it just depends on the environment. Like I wouldn't do that probably at the airport without some type of warning. But and then I also mentioned too, I bring my sons into the women's restroom with me if I feel led to. I have a 13-year-old, a 7-year-old, and if my husband or someone else is not available, go in with them, or I just don't feel comfortable about where we are.
Let me backtrack. Then, maybe I misunderstood. Are you saying you have a 13-year-old son and you bring your 13-year-old son into the women's restroom?
It depends on the environment. If we're traveling somewhere, and I don't feel comfortable about the environment, I'll say, you come in here with me because it just depends. And I don't see there is no issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially if it's a single restroom or something like that, I'm
Well,
like, I'm
that's
not
different.
sending him in
If
there
it's
by himself.
if it's a
You know,
single
we're in an
restroom,
environment that neither one of us know.
I think if it's a single restroom, you should be able to do whatever the hell you want. Obviously, I'm talking
Right.
particularly with restrooms with multiple people in there, but I don't have a problem with anything that you've said. Quite frankly, I really
even bringing the children into the bathroom.
if
saying
it's a
with
single
that?
restroom,
No, what if it's not a single restroom? She's done it in big
if it's
restrooms.
a young child, I don't have a problem with that. Post puberty, like a 13-year-old, I think that's a little strange. You need to tell somebody first that you're going in there.
Do you agree, Tracy, or no?
No, not really. I mean, it depends on the environment. He does go in the restroom by himself, guys. I'm not saying that my 13-year-old can't use the restroom by himself.
Right.
Clearly.
Right.
But, but no, it just depends, on
got
where
you.
we are. And if we're not in a place where I feel comfortable, like a truck stop or something that, the environment is a little sketchy, then I'd rather keep my kids with me. And, it's a safety thing. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Now,
they can use the restroom at home. So
let me
I don't
ask you
see
this,
any
Tracy.
difference for that.
What if you tried to enter one of these bathrooms and the men in there said, no, we don't want you in here? And you're like,
that's totally fine. First of all, I probably wouldn't go in a restroom if there are men
Right.
actively there, and I don't have a man on my side, like on my team, my friend, my husband, someone saying, "Okay, hey, you got to pee."
I think
usually they'll clear the space, like they'll clear the way.
Sure, and Tracy,
and
I
then
think
say, okay, now you got it, and I'll be like your lookout. you
Tracy,
know?
I think
Okay.
and Tracy, I do appreciate your perspective, and I
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you,
you calling
Tracy.
in. I think the bottom line here is this, and thank you for the call, Tracy.
Yes,
I
thank you,
appreciate it.
Tracy.
The bottom line is we just have to be logical about this
Yep.
thing, okay? There's
and
not
that's
a
what I've been saying this entire time.
there's not
Be
a bunch of
logical.
transgenders that are looking to molest children and going into restrooms to molest kids.
There's a lot of straight men who are looking to molest
Yes,
children, so we need to
I
worry about
agree.
that.
So that's number one. And number two, this 18-year-old deserves to go to jail. We need to be logical about this. And again, for the most part, if you have male genitalia, you can't be showering with chicks. If you have male genitalia, you shouldn't be going in the women's restroom unless it's an emergency.
Brian, before you move on to the next call, is Tracy still there? I want to ask a question. Tracy, you still
I
there?
am still here.
I want to
yeah.
ask, do you agree with Brian? Do you think this 18-year-old should go to jail? Let's talk about that real quick.
So for me, I know that I don't expose my kids to the private genitalia of other people just because they're too young for all of that. I personally feel like they're too young. However, I do know at my son's school, like he's in athletics, they do take showers after athletics. They do 2 hours of running outside and football, this and that, lifting weights and stuff. But he's in a locker room with other boys, and I think that's very appropriate. Not that at any point he has never seen breast or vagina. I mean, I hope he hasn't seen vagina. He certainly hasn't seen mine since birth.
Listen. To be honest with you, a man who co-hosted.
Either way, I would say that it's not highly appropriate.
But should they go to jail, though? Should they go to jail?
I would say he needs some sort of consequence. I don't know about jail, but
Gotcha.
some
Okay.
sort of consequence.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Tracy, it was good to hear from you. I appreciate the call. For the record,
You too.
Thank you so much. For the record, I know that Chris Wynn is a part of the chat here. I'm not sure Chris Wynn has ever seen breasts or female genitalia either in his life. So he's a part of this as well. Sorry, terrible joke. 702-221-7283.
I laughed for you, though. I laughed for you. I support you.
702-221-7283. Let's go to Carl. Carl, what's going on?
Yeah, Jamie, Brian. Listen.
What's up, Carl?
Everybody's talking. Yeah, hi. Listen, everybody's talking about the poor psychological problems with the transgenders doing what they're doing, showing themselves off to young girls. But nobody is even thinking about the psychological damage that's being done to a young girl for many, many years to come. All these young children who are exposed to this, their psychological damage that's done to them is very great. And nobody's talking about that.
Well, Carl, I think that's a good point. I'm sorry to cut you short because I have to take a break. But I will say this, Carl. Yes, I think when, for example, a young child, in this case a 14-year-old girl, sees an 18-year-old expose himself, that's something that young child will not forget, sadly. It's a very traumatic, it could be a very traumatic experience for them. And my thoughts go out to those young children. They should never have to see something like that. I want
agree.
this 18-year-old to be punished to the highest extent of the law. Notice how I say 18-year-old, and I'm not attacking the trans community, Jamie. But, Carl, I do appreciate the call. I'm sorry to cut that short because we got to go to break. All right. How about switching topics from transgenders and bathrooms to the Vegas Golden Knights, Jamie? What do you think about that?
Let's do it.
We're going to do that when we come back. Mark Anderson from the Associated Press is going to be joining us. Why, Jamie? Well, we kind of have a pretty big game tonight. It's Game 4 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Vegas Golden Knights up 2-1 against a team in Canada. And what are they called? They are a small city that I would never want to be in right now. And it's a city, Jamie, that's very cold. The bars close very, very early. It's a little city called Winnipeg. And we're going to talk a little bit about that coming up next. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. He's Jamie D. I'm Brian Shapiro. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement, and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices. Office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
When you bring your vehicle to Star Auto Care for maintenance, you'll have a team of professionals at your service. Every one of our technicians has been factory trained and master status certified to ensure that you receive the highest quality and most effective service. Star Auto Care is located at 3540 East Tropicana Avenue, just east of Pecos. Star Auto Care is confident in their prices and will match any mechanic located within 20 miles. Bring your vehicle in today and let Star Auto Care give you the peace of mind you deserve when you service your car. Visit them online at starautocare.us.
Whether you're a corporate executive, on a family vacation, or just passing through, St. George Inn & Suites will meet your specific needs. It's conveniently located near restaurants, shopping, and movie theaters. St. George Inn & Suites offers a variety of room types, 2 fabulous pools and jacuzzis, a fitness center, a free full hot buffet breakfast, and laundry facilities. To make your booking, call 435-673-6661 or book online at stgeorgeinnhotel.com. You need to stop in Southern Utah? Make that stop at St. George Inn & Suites.
STN Sports is the only sports betting app you need this season. STN Sports has it all. In-play betting, mobile parlay cards, the Play Plus card to fund and withdraw from anywhere in Nevada, and the latest lines on every game. STN Sports even lets you earn rewards on every bet. Safe and easy betting from your phone or tablet. Go to StationCasinoSports.com or sign up at any Station Casino, Fiesta Wildfire, or the El Cortez. Details at the sportsbooks.
The Farmer's Burger from Farmer Boys. Beef, bacon, cheese, hand-smashed avocado, and fresh veggies. Best burger champ. That's how we drop the mic. Farmer Boys. Farm food ain't fast food. Farmer Boys' new always crispy fries stay crispier and tastier all the way home. If they make it home. Sharing is caring. Farmer Boys. Farm food ain't fast food.
Sapphire Pool and Day Club, the world's only topless gentlemen's day club, introduces its 2023 pool season lineup with a bevy of beauties and social media celebrities throughout the summer who will all host alongside hundreds of Sapphire's topless poolside entertainers. Enjoy brunch in the sun with items like frittata-style omelets, stripping chicken, and French kiss toast before washing it down with signature summertime cocktails. 10 lines, beware, go bear! Ladies are welcome to go topless within the day club for the ultimate party. Guests can purchase portable daybed packages, cabana packages, lounge chairs, and more. The best part though? Pushing the Limits will be broadcasting shows every other Friday throughout the pool season with a ton of surprise celebrity guests. Wow! Reserve your spot now. For more info, visit SapphirePoolLV.com or call 702-869-0003. That's 702-869-0003. See you at Sapphire.
Do you want to take your business to the next level? Then join one of the fastest growing talk shows, Pushing the Limits. We have a wide range of sales packages that can fit your budget. Anything from on-site live remotes to in-studio interviews. Email Jamie, JamieD at KSHP.com. That's JAIME, capital DEE at KSHP.com.
The world-famous radio shopping show, weekday on 1400 KSHP North Las Vegas and KSHP.com.
All right, welcome back. Pushing the Limits on a Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. Darren Elliott is going to be joining us here at the bottom of the hour. Vegas Golden Knights Senior Vice President of Hockey Programming. Lot to get to with him. We got a big game today, Game 4 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. VGK in action against the Winnipeg Jets. What a crazy game over the weekend. I mean, you want to talk about a game that had a little bit of everything. Knights are up 4-1. They give up the lead. 20 seconds left to go. The score is tied, goes to overtime, and it really had everything you really want in a hockey game. A lot of drama. And the guy joining us on the line right now, great writer. Always love having him on. Great writer with the Associated Press. Covers the Vegas Golden Knights. That would be, of course, Mark Anderson joining us. Mark, it's a pleasure to have you. How are you?
Well, it's good to be on again. Appreciate it.
Are they flying you out there, or are you covering the game here, or what's the deal?
Oh, no, we have, the AP has people everywhere.
Gotcha.
So we actually have a deal with the Canadian Press. So when games are in Canada, the Canadian Press covers it. But if this, if they go, we want to play say they play LA next series, and we have writers in LA who would cover the games there.
Gotcha. Okay, so let me start from square one here. What did you make of the seesaw battle and the emotions of Game 3? The Knights up 4-1. I was one of those people. I said, all right, the Knights are taking care of business. They're going to win this game. And then all of a sudden, the third period was a disaster. What do you make of the game as a whole?
Yeah, I felt like they were kind of playing not to lose at that point. They're known. Bruce Cassidy has such a good defensive system, and I thought maybe they could just rely on that to get them to the finish line. And they actually might have, but Winnipeg scored that goal early in the third, and I think at that point that should have gotten their attention. Now you need to try to be a little more aggressive here, because then suddenly it's a 2-goal game and anything can happen. But even then, then it still took a last-minute shot by Edmonton to force overtime. But that was my takeaway, and I have to. And this probably had nothing really to do with it, but when Polisar, and he said he wasn't looking at the fan in front of him, but that's sure the way it looked like on the fourth goal. And I just had the feeling, you just don't do that. You just don't do that.
I agree.
You act like you've won the game. You haven't won the game yet.
Right.
So, and you haven't won much less the series. So that bothered me that he did that.
I agree with you 100%. I actually felt the same thing when it happened, Mark. Here's what I think about this team, and this is what I said at the start of this series, and this is what I'm going to continue to say now. They're a better team than Winnipeg. They're probably going to win this series. Yeah. I say probably because, listen, let's be honest. It's hockey, right? And if Winnipeg ties it up tonight, you never know what's going to happen. But Vegas is a better hockey team. I think they're going to be in some trouble in the next series. And again, we still don't know who they're going to be playing. But I feel like this is not a Stanley Cup contending hockey team, and it's not because Cassidy's not doing a great job, because he is. The coaching staff has done a wonderful job. It feels like they've had 18 different goalies. They've had injuries. what they've been able to accomplish regular season with all the drama off the ice is nothing short of really incredible. With that being said, I just don't see this team as a Stanley Cup contender. Do you?
They haven't struck me as one, no, and I felt this way for months. I mean, this isn't a new feeling on my part. But then again, I looked around in the West and was like, they can beat these teams, you know. I agree that they should beat Winnipeg, and then either LA or Edmonton. That's going to be a really tough matchup. I mean, you don't want to face that Edmonton line, you know. That just especially with the Knights' problems killing off penalties. I mean, they could win a series with a power play alone. And then LA's been a really tough matchup all season. The Knights have really struggled. I mean, the Knights have won games, but it seems like every game has been a struggle. So I think both those matches will be difficult. But the Knights, there's something about this team, and they keep finding ways to win. Mm-hmm. And that's the sort of the genius of Bruce Cassidy this season. And I don't know how he's done it, because you look at the numbers, it's not a team you think would be a Stanley Cup contender. And I tend to agree with you. I really don't think they are. But if you tell me right now they'd be in the Western Conference Final, I wouldn't be shocked either.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that would be shocking either. Let's talk a little bit. By the way, if you're just joining us, he's Mark Anderson, Associated Press, covers the Knights and many other teams here. We have a big football story I do want to ask you about involving Mr. Aaron Rodgers. But Game 4 tonight, Mark, you would think that you'd see Winnipeg's best game tonight, right? It's a do-or-die game. Mm-hmm. You go down 3-1 the series. The statistics say 90% of the time you're going to lose. You would think that you're going to get Winnipeg's biggest push today, kind of like how you saw it in the third period over the weekend. What do you make of the game tonight?
Yeah, I think first period, I think that's exactly what you're going to see. I think the one thing the Knights have in their favor is if they can weather that first period, say they come out with just say a 1-goal deficit, 1-0, 2-1, whatever it is, and not down 2 or 3, I think they've got a real shot to win, because Winnipeg played so many players, or played players with so many minutes, I should say, on Saturday, especially with Josh Morrissey going out early in that game. It really took a toll on their team, and the Knights, because of their depth, were able to spread out their playing time, and I think they're going to be the fresher team overall. So I think I could see the Jets coming out strong, and then kind of withering the final 2 periods, and the Knights wind up taking advantage of that and winning. But I too agree with you. I think they're going to come out making a real push.
It's been a fun series so far. I mean, that game over the weekend had a little bit of everything. It's been very entertaining, more than I thought it would be. All right, Mark, I got to let's talk about the big pink elephant in the room, the big news that just broke here in the last hour, which is Aaron Rodgers. Speaking of the Jets, different Jets. Aaron Rodgers in a mega deal is now officially a part of the Jets. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of been telegraphed for a long time. I mean, I do know there was another team that just sort of kind of came in. Oh, the Niners. That was like sort of the big rumor, I guess, past couple of days. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good move for the Jets, for both teams, really. I think the Packers need to move on from him. He's so much drama, and they really haven't gotten the return on the investment in that regard the past 2 or 3 years, where they've been really disappointing. So I think if they're going deep into the postseason, past 2 or 3 seasons, maybe making a Super Bowl, I think they would have put up with Aaron Rodgers some more. But the fact that they were going out early, I think last season, they had losing at home to San Francisco a couple of years ago. I mean, right. It's just, it's just at that point you're like, how much more do we really need this guy? And for the Jets, I think they had to take a swing. I really like what they did in the draft last season. I think they've got a pretty decent roster. He's capable of making them really competitive in the AFC East. Obviously, we'll have to see with Buffalo. Buffalo's going to be hard for them to beat. Miami, to me, that depends on Tua's health, and then the Patriots. I'm not really overly impressed. So I can see the Jets and Buffalo being the teams to watch in the East now.
Yeah, it's going to be a little strange to see Aaron Rodgers in that Jets uniform. I'll be honest with you. It's going to be a little weird, but who knows? I guess perhaps you never know what the future holds. But he could retire a Jet, and that's very strange to say. But we'll have to wait and see how this thing plays out. There's certainly going to be a lot of Raiders discussion that I'm going to be having with you over the course of the next 6, 7, 8 months. I want to ask you, and this does involve Mark Davis and the Oakland A's and this big story. And I would imagine when we do have Major League Baseball here, and I think it's just a matter of time, you're going to be covering the team. I ran into Mark Davis yesterday at Resorts World. We were at a cigar bar. I'm sitting really 2 feet away from him, and we've had great discussions in the past, and we talked for a few minutes, and he doesn't hold back about the A's organization. And by the way, this is public knowledge. As you know, Mark, there have been a lot of stories out there about Mark Davis, so I have no problem talking about our personal conversation on the air, and I don't think he'd have a problem with either. He did not have any nice things to say about the Oakland A's management, the organization, about how this stadium deal, how they really put the Raiders behind schedule with what they were trying to do out there in Oakland. This is going to be it appears to me to be no relationship between the Oakland A's when they eventually become the Vegas A's and the Raiders, and it's a really weird situation. What do you make of this?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard about this for, I think, since the moment it happened, or close to the moment it happened, the A's were talking about moving here, that the Raiders wouldn't lift a finger to help them, and because they felt like the A's stabbed them in the back up in Oakland, and especially agreeing to that long-term lease with the Coliseum when the Raiders are trying to get a new stadium done, and so I think they felt like they weren't going to help them. And if Steve Sisolak had won re-election, the Raiders would have had a powerful ally in helping them because Sisolak was really tied into the Raiders coming here, and I think he felt like he owed them in a lot of ways for being elected governor to begin with. But when Joe Lombardo is governor now, he doesn't have any such allegiances. Obviously, he wants the Raiders to do well, and he supports the Raiders, I'm sure. But as far as owing them a favor of trying to keep out the A's, that's not the deal with him. I think he's going to try and make it happen for the A's to come here. I think they're going to be creative. It sounds like this tax district is what's going to be where you don't really. It fulfills his promise of not raising taxes, but in reality, those are taxes that instead of going to the community would be going to just that district with the A's and whatever else fills up that district where the business is. Sure. So it is in some ways it's raising taxes on the back end is what it is. But yeah, when he came out publicly, I guess I was a little surprised he was so public about it. But Mark Davis says what he thinks, so it's not the first time he's spoken his mind.
Mark, what do you make of this? Now the MLB current commissioner has made a statement basically saying that it would be more than feasible for the Oakland A's to share Las Vegas ballpark with the Las Vegas Aviators until the new ballpark can be built. Now you have the MLB commissioner that's saying things on the record. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I'm not real surprised at that. I mean, they have the one more year left in Oakland. I just don't think baseball wants another Raiders situation where the Raiders played, 3 seasons in the Bay Area before they moved down here.
Yep.
That's just a bad look, and especially with the A's. I mean, the Raiders could more easily get away with it because they have such a loyal fan base, and it's the NFL, and people are still going to go to games. No one's going to A's games now. So, they'll do it one more year in the Coliseum, and the only option was maybe they could share the Giants Stadium, for a couple of years. But that again, it's not. I don't know how feasible that. And you don't want them coming down here, and you have two teams really tearing up the field. But you also, I'm sure Major League Baseball also doesn't want two teams tearing up a Major League Stadium field either. So it's probably the best option for them to come down here in 25 and 26 and play at Las Vegas Ballpark and then move into the new stadium in 27. It's not a great option, but I think it's the one that at least they can come down here and start getting in with the community and really start making headway. And then maybe John Fisher could spend this couple of years really building up his roster, and that would help as far as enduring himself the community. Because right now, there's a lot of skepticism. Like, well, why we go support a team that right now is among the worst in baseball history, and they've shown no interest in trying to build up the team. So now he has a chance to prove it, to show that he's willing to put his money in there and really get this organization winning.
Well, Mark, it's amazing to me though that, if you ask me 10 or 15 years ago, which professional teams would we get first, I thought it was going to be the NBA. I thought Major League Baseball would be third to last. Go ahead, Jamie. You had a question for Mark. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mark. So I'm actually seeing a lot on Twitter and social media alike that they're saying, what's the point of even bringing the A's here if their team sucks? No one really cares about them. They don't really have a fan base, and we're not going to see any championships won by them. Do you think they could come here and turn their team around at all? I mean, we have a team coming to Vegas where a lot of sports teams are now starting to thrive. What do you think that's going to do for them?
Yeah, I mean that is a big question. I mean, Fisher's got to prove it. Right? So far he hasn't proven he's willing to do it. Right. I think what they would tell you, maybe not publicly, but probably what they would tell you privately is, well, they didn't have a future in Oakland anyway, so they're trying to kind of restart everything. So we'll see. I mean, if they're playing at Las Vegas ballpark, they'll have no trouble selling that out if for no other reason. Fans from visiting teams will pack it out. So, so that's where I think they have the 2-year window, really 3-year window, including next year, to really improve, build up their farm team, really get move some players into the major leagues, and then by 27, by the time they move to the new stadium, maybe they will have a competitive team. And they've been competitive in the past. I mean, it wasn't that long ago this team's been competitive. It's really the past 2 or 3 years they've fallen off a cliff. So they can get back there, and they still have Billy Beane in the front, running the day to day. So. They know how to do it. It's just will he be willing to spend the money? And that is the big question mark.
You want to talk about a wealth of profits or more profits that they'll be able to make when the team comes out here eventually, teams that are playing 3 or 4 games out here, whether it be the Yankees or the Red Sox, and all the tourists that are going to come out here. They come out here for Knights games. They come out here for a Raider game to see their team play. But let's keep in mind that's only one game. You're talking 3 or 4 games. It's going to be great for the economy. Tourists are going to stay. They're not just going to come out here for 1 or 2 nights. They'll watch the whole home series, and I just think it makes complete sense. And I don't care if Oakland, you want a team that's going to win, but even if they're not a winning team, there's going to be fans in the stands. It's Vegas, and there's, sorry, all due respect to Oakland, you're not going to get too many fans that would rather travel to Oakland than Las Vegas. So that's just the reality of it. Mark, it is always a pleasure having you on, my friend, and we will see you. I will assume I will see you Thursday night, right? T-Mobile Arena, Game 5.
No, actually, Willie Ramirez will be covering for us. I'll be covering the NFL draft.
Oh, well, that's also a big story. So that's also pretty big as far as from the Raiders' perspective. Mark, always a pleasure having you on, my friend. I really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay, my friend?
Thank you, Mark.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Mark. Thank you so much. That's Mark Anderson from the Associated Press, who really does a great job. He's one of my favorite writers and sports journalists, and it's always a pleasure having him on. No question about that. And Mark is right. They can switch some things around, and this team could be a winning team, within a few years. Billy Beane, he knows what he's doing. They're not spending any money to get any players at the moment, but eventually we're going to have Major League Baseball here in Las Vegas. We're going to have the Raiders. We're going to have everybody. The NBA is going to be coming, so there's no doubt about that. What's up, Jamie? Oh, I thought you were like. Waving me down.
No, people are saying they want to call in and make a comment about this. So I was trying to figure out if you wanted some callers. That's it.
So right now, I believe we have him on the line. Oh, we don't have him on.
So do you want to call it real quick? Somebody said they want to make a.
People are always welcome to.
Yeah.
People are always welcome to call into the show. There's no question about that.
That's your answer right there. Call in, Aaron. If you want to talk, call in, Aaron.
Yeah. Anybody is always welcome to call in the show. If you want to know what the number was, it's 702-221-7283. And again, the number to call into the show is 702-221-7283. And that is the number to call. I'll tell you what, why don't we take a quick break? We're waiting for a guest to be joining us, and we'll kind of take care of that. But why don't we take a quick break, and then we'll get our next guest on the line, Darren Elliott. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You are listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Oh, yeah.
All right, welcome back. That's the shortest break in radio in my 20-year career we've ever had.
You guys are watching us the entire time.
Welcome back to the show. It's Pushing the Limits, and it is a Monday. And as we were just talking to Mark Anderson from the Associated Press covering the Knights, big game 4 tonight in Winnipeg, Vegas Golden Knights. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the puck drop here in Pacific Standard Time is 6:30. And the guy joining us on the line right now, I think this is the first time he's ever. We always have Dan Duva on the show. We've had some of the TV guys on, and Darren Elliott is the Vegas Golden Knights Senior Vice President of Hockey Programming and Facility Operations, and I'm happy to have him on the show right now. He's out there in Winnipeg, Darren Elliott joining us right now on the line. Darren, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm fine, guys. That title says it's long, but doesn't say much. I'm here. I'm doing TV in Winnipeg, and I do some radio with Dan, so kind of just fill in where needed.
And you do a great job, Darren. I've watched you, and you're awesome, and I appreciate you taking the time to join us. All right, so before we get to tonight's game, I felt like, Darren, and I think you'll agree with me, Game 3 had a little bit of everything, right? A lot of drama. Knights are in control, and then all of a sudden things fell apart a little bit in the third period, and a lot of Knights fans were very nervous in that overtime, but you know what? They got it done, and they got the W. What did you make of that game?
Well, the first 40 minutes was a continuation of what the Golden Knights have been able to finally establish in Game 2 in the second and third periods. There was 4 straight periods of using the terminology of the day, managing the puck, supporting the puck, and really playing as good hockey as you can play. When Niederreiter scores in the start the third inside of 3 minutes, suddenly you give the other team life. We've seen that script before, so they kept coming at it. They're, in a power play, Shifley scores, 42-goal scorer finds the back of the net, and then Lowry, who's having a playoff for his ages, with 4 goals already, big body, doing some good work, ties it up late. So it's kind of the way it goes, right? It's if you give them life early, a comeback is possible in today's NHL. That goal, by Niederreiter, you want to see that not go in. Take time off the clock, make it more difficult,
right,
for them to come back with the 3-goal deficit.
But the bottom line is they got the W. And if you ask Cassidy, you're going to get the W, you'll take it. You'll take it anyway. And it was a huge Game 3. And now, listen, this game is just as big, obviously, right? You win you win tonight. You have the clamps on the series. I'm not saying it's over, but you're up 3-1. You look at the statistics. Right. I was talking to Mark Anderson from the AP about this, and before you came on. It seems to me that you would think that Winnipeg, they're going to have their biggest push to start this game anyway, right? I mean, you would think that the fans are going to be completely energized. They approach it as a must-win game, and the Knights are going to have to be ready for that tonight because you'd expect you'd have probably the best start that Winnipeg would have as far as effort goes and intensity.
Yeah, Bruce Cassidy addressed that when somebody asked him about weathering the storm, and he says, "I hate that term." He says. You want to go out and dictate style, pace, and play yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you find yourself in that situation anyway where you're weathering a storm and you try to get through it and eventually get to your game. But you can't have that mindset going in. But having what, from your perspective, what you just said, right, it's like, okay, we would expect them to come out. We expected it in Game 3. But the Golden Knights were so on point. For 40 minutes, it was really a master class in how to play, and you would expect again that this would be a really focused group on the Jet side, and you have to be equally ready for their intensity, and you've got to match it or exceed it if you're going to really, truly get the same start that you had last time.
Yeah, no doubt. If you're just joining us, he is Darren Elliott. You've seen him do TV and, of course, heard him radio. He's the Vegas Golden Knights Senior VP of Hockey Programming. He's out there covering Game 4, as we just had Mark Anderson from the AP on. Big game tonight. A real big bright spot, Darren, is the way Eichel has been playing. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that are playing at an extremely high level. The goaltending has been phenomenal, as good as could be expected, and the stars are shining. A lot of people going into this series, Game 1, Eichel didn't have the best game, right? And there are a lot of people saying, well, wait a second, this guy, he's supposed to be a superstar, blah, 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 blah. You know what some fans say. And the way Eichel has played the last several games, nothing short of phenomenal. He is such a huge part of this team. We know how skilled of a player he is. And I think he is a big reason why this team is up 2-1 right now.
He is, and the first game was a little bit of a learning curve, even more so than he thought he'd have to, go through. And Mark Stone coming back slots him properly because now you have two really dominant lines. And then all of a sudden he's back on the power play, everything running through him, right shot on the left side on the dot. That's his office. That's where he's always wanted to be. They've tinkered with other configurations, and boy, oh boy, he's making the coach look smart. They've had an ongoing dialogue all year about how best to use Jack Eichel on the power play, and with the 2 goals he scored on the power play, he's kind of making it known, let's make sure this stays as the number 1 formation for us.
So, Darren, you know this team just as well as anybody. You travel with the team. You're around the team. What do you think happens tonight? I think you get Winnipeg's best game. This is a huge game, obviously. It's not the end of the world if the Knights lose. It's 2-2. You have home ice. I get that. Next home game is Thursday. But you'd love to have a closeout game at home on Thursday, right? You'd love to end this series on Thursday. Nothing more you'd want the players to get a little bit of rest and get your body right. What do you think happens tonight, and do you believe the Knights are able to get it done and come back home with a 3-1 advantage?
I do. If they're able to get to the inside, and we always hear that, what does that mean? I mean, Connor Hellebuck is capable of stealing, a game. What does that mean? It means he contends with, if you put lots of traffic and pucks and people at the paint at the same time, he's been vulnerable. Every goalie is. He tends to be a little bit more because once it gets to be his D in front of him aren't great at clearing rebounds. He gives up rebounds. If you're there to take advantage of it, you can score goals on Connor Hellebuck. If that's tidied up, then it's going to be much tougher for the Golden Knights to come through. But, yeah, I think this veteran team, they know the value. There's enough guys in that room that know the value of shortening a series if you possibly can and winning in as few games as possible.
And, I love the end of the game in overtime. The forecheck leads to a turnover, and boom, a guy that maybe you wouldn't have said would have been the hero in this game was, and boom, just like that, the game's over and erase that 3-goal. I mean, if they, I know they didn't, but if they lose that game the other day, that's devastating. You're up 4-1, and that completely changes. Yeah. A completely different conversation, Darren, we're having right now. Okay, you start from square one. We're very fortunate. We're up 2-1 in the series. We're in a good spot. I feel like the Knights get it done tonight. I really do. I feel like they play a complete game. And again, it's not going to be easy. This is a very good hockey team they're playing against. Don't get me wrong.
That's right.
They're very well coached. We know what this guy did in Dallas. He's a good coach. This is a good team with a great netminder. You mentioned him. He's a great goalie. But I kind of get the sense they get it done tonight. And how exciting would it be, Darren, if we could cover the game on Thursday in a closeout situation? I know the fans would be pumped for that. I mean, even if it's 2-2, the fans are going to be pumped. We know what great home ice it is here in Las Vegas. But be a good feeling traveling back to Vegas from Winnipeg, going up 3-1.
It sure would. They've been a good road team, better than good, second best road team in the National Hockey League this year. And whenever you say second best, that just means Boston Bruins because of the season they had.
Right.
So yeah, they've been the second best road team all year. They know how to play. Typically, when they do that, they score early. They've been able to do that quite often on the road. So look for those kinds of tells. And like I said, can they get some chaos that leads to a goal or two early on against Hellebuck?
Well, Darren, I appreciate you taking the time, my friend. We'll have to do this again.
Well,
hopefully we can.
My pleasure, guys.
Hopefully we can interview you deep into the playoffs. That's nothing more than we would want them to do that. Hey, Darren, we'll see you out there on Thursday, regardless of whether it's 2-2 or 3-1. We hope it's 3-1. Well, wait a second. I'm a member of the media. I'm allowed to root for the Knights, aren't I? I don't know. I guess that's an unwritten rule. But Darren,
as long as you're not in the press box, you can't. Right. You're not supposed to root in the press box. In your own show, go ahead, root away.
I don't root in the press box, but I do know some people that do, and they've gotten in trouble. That's a no-no. I remember I was in Seattle covering the Seattle Mariners, and I remember I was in Oakland covering a series, And I guess Ken Griffey Jr. hit a 2-run homer. I'm like, there you go, Ken, that a boy. I think I just said something like that because I was pulling for him. And one of the other members of the media gave me the dirtiest look, like the look of death. I'm like, oh, I probably should have done that. But
well, I'll admit I might have had a couple of fist bumps during the game with Dave Gosher the other night when the goal went in double overtime.
Darren, we're human beings, right? We're human beings.
Yeah,
and
there you go.
I think everybody knows who we're pulling for. I don't think that's a secret. Darren Elliott, I appreciate you taking the time, my friend.
Thanks, Darren.
We'll see you out there. Have a nice, safe trip back, and we'll see you Thursday, my friend. Thanks for joining us.
See you Thursday, guys. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate that.
See ya.
That's Darren Elliott. You've seen him on TV. He does VGK hockey, television, and radio, and he's also the vice president of hockey programming over there for the Vegas Golden Knights. Pleasure speaking with him. I know you're not a huge hockey guy, Jamie, but I grew up with hockey growing up as a kid. Hartford Whalers and this is fun time for me, and
I love seeing you in your element. This is cool.
It's a fun
I support it.
It's a fun time for Vegas. You go to those, and you went to a Vegas Golden Knights game a few weeks ago.
The energy was insane.
The energy is pretty incredible, and this is our team. And I say our team because, this is not a team that moved from one city to another. Listen, the Las Vegas Raiders are our team as well, but they moved from Oakland. I guarantee you, Jamie does. And by the way, nobody in Vegas knows this song. It's not just you. Go ahead, play it. Play it. It's like, what the hell is this?
I have no clue what this is.
Make it louder. It's not loud enough.
It's very loud. I'm looking at
no, I can't. Okay, there's 3 people in this town. Well, Numchuck knows the song too, obviously. There's 3 people in this town that know the song. Chris Wynn. Myself.
Chris is in the chat right now, too.
Myself, Brian Shapiro, and the goalie coach of the Vegas Golden Knights is Sean Burke, because Sean Burke was our goalie. That song is the Hartford Whalers theme song. Of course, the Hartford Whalers are no longer in Hartford. They're now the Carolina Hurricanes. That song is known as the Brass Bonanza, Jamie. Now you're never going to forget it.
I probably am.
It's the Brass Bonanza.
Probably going to forget
the Hartford Whalers. The Hartford Whalers have the best sports emblem, in my opinion, in the history of sports.
It looks like a mustache.
In fact, it does look like a mustache.
A W with a mustache on top of it.
That is a cool emblem. Come on, you got to give me that. That's an.
It's cute.
It's cute.
It's cute.
It's an awesome emblem. I don't know if it's cute.
It looks like a W with. I see it's supposed to be a whale, but it looks like a mustache.
Anyway, that's the Hartford Whalers theme song. I grew up with the Hartford Whalers, and it's funny because, as I mentioned, Sean Burke is the goalie coach for the Vegas Golden Knights. He was our goalie for the Hartford Whalers. So I'll see him in the hallways, and we'll joke around, and he'll tell me which Hartford Whalers are in the building. Because a lot of these players that played in the 80s and 90s are now coaches or scouts. So he told me a few weeks ago, he's like, hey, Alexander, you don't know who this is, and Numchuck doesn't either, even if you're a hockey fan, but it was old Hartford Whaler. He says, hey, Alexander Godinuk is in the building. And I'm like, that's a guy that played on the third line for the Hartford Whalers back in like 1992.
Oh, wow.
And I go up to these guys, and I'm like, Alexander? And he's amazed that I know who he is. And I'm like, dude, I used to be a Hartford Whaler season ticket holder, and we have these conversations. They used to play in a mall, by the way.
Oh, wow.
The mall. And I was
a mall.
Yeah. I was like 15, 16 years old, and I'd get autographs from all these players walking through the mall, going to the game. And
it's crazy the different lifestyles we've had growing up. Because
You mean
That's
you
awesome.
weren't going to Hartford Whalers games with your dad when you were like 15 years old?
Absolutely.
What were you doing?
I wish I would have.
What were you doing when you were 15 years old? Were you going into women's bathrooms?
No.
Oh, you weren't.
I would have gotten beat
Sorry,
up by
that
my
was
parents.
a bad joke.
My parents would have definitely
so tell
disciplined me.
What did you do for entertainment when you were like 15?
When I was in 15, I played sports. I watched my students.
What did you play? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was a wide receiver in football.
I didn't know that. You never told me
you
that.
never let me talk about myself, Brian.
I just asked you.
I was a wide receiver. I did a lot, actually. I was a wide receiver. I was a first-place conference champ in swimming and diving. I was a diver in college, high school as well. Track and field, sport. I did a bunch of sports, honestly. Gymnastics, step team.
You did gymnastics? Oh,
yeah.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I did a lot. So I did.
When you swam, did you ever meet Leah Thomas?
No. Oh, I was not. What? We're not even the same age.
I'm just asking you. That's all.
We weren't even the same age.
I'm just asking.
But no, never used the women's bathroom inappropriately
By the way,
in a disrespectful manner.
Do you have any eligibility left? Because UNLV football could use a receiver.
Absolutely not. I'm way too old. Way too old.
Yeah, I'll have to take you to a UNLV football game. They're
I'm
actually
with it.
fun. They play at Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders play.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's about 10% capacity, I don't know how many fans. 8,000, 9,000. I don't know. I don't know how many fans they get there. Anyway, we got former presidential candidate, a former Trump supporter, a former Republican. He's appeared multiple times on Fox News and CNN. The great Joe Walsh will be joining us tomorrow, and he's going to have some strong opinions on Tucker Carlson and CNN. What happened to your chair, man?
I was trying to fix something, and it just made me fall all the way down. So I was like, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't want to make a noise on air, though.
You're about as tall as my magician friend Mike Hammer. He wouldn't like me making that joke. Anyway, Jamie, I know we will be back at it tomorrow, same time, same place.
I'm happy to be here with you, Chris.
Yes.
Wow, Brian.
Wow, he called me.
Chris, no, Chris is texting.
Wow.
Chris is messaging on the YouTube. I'm happy to be here with you, Brian. Jeez Louise.
Wow, he just called me Chris Wen. There's no worse insult than that.
No,
Nunchuck,
Chris is messaging.
Is there a worse insult than that? Jamie
Not
just
at
called
all.
me Chris.
Not at all.
I didn't call you Chris. I said Chris.
You know, I would never compare
But
you.
we know what you meant.
I would never compare you.
You know what? I can hold myself accountable, but I'm telling you. How about you try to respond back to everybody live and be on this show too? And let's see what you call me. You probably call me different names too.
I would never compare Jamie to my former co-host for obvious reasons. But anyway,
we have the same acronyms.
Yes, we do. Well, we got to go, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for everybody for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
Peace out.